And not long after Munich, the country woke up to the fact that Churchill had a point. If it hadn't been for Churchill and 25 brave souls, we probably wouldn't have had any Spitfires at all in September 1939. Churchill was right, and the entire political establishment was wrong. And I think this time round, my own view is that we're right, and that the entire establishment is wrong. But in a sense, what I think doesn't really matter. Because what I want above all is I want there to be, in this country, a free and a fair referendum. So that we can decide whether we want to be a part of this new European project, or whether we want to take back our independence, our self-government, our democracy, and as I would put it, our pride, and whether we want to recalibrate the British economy and the British country, and take us away from being a European country. We're not a European country. We're a global trading nation with the most fantastic advantages of language, with the most incredible relationships, especially through the Commonwealth, with nearly a third of the population of the earth. You know, what I'm looking for, what I'll fight for, as and when we get that campaign, I won't be fighting a backwards-looking, idea that somehow we should return to the 1950s and take back the empire. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, in a modern global economy, we need to be flexible, we need to be adaptable, we need to have a much, much lower level of regulation, especially on Britain's 3.5 billion small businesses. And in the 21st century, we have to be able to forge our own links and have our own deals across the globe, and not have them made for us by people like Peter Mandelson and the European Commission. So that's what I'm fighting for. We are doing everything we can in UKIP to take votes on the establishment. Doesn't always make us popular, and after all, we turn up from nowhere and tell the British people that this lot have told you a pack of lies for 35 years. I mean, they're not always going to be nice about us, but I would suggest to you that we are beginning to make some progress. I mean, okay, I know that European elections are contested on the basis of proportional representation, and I know that the European issue is salient in those elections, but I still think that for UKIP, a party that had been going for less than 15 years, for us in 2009 to have come second across the entire United Kingdom in the European elections was one hell of an achievement, and the kind of thing that's never been seen before in British politics. And I think in the last general election, I have to say, I don't think UKIP fought the best general election campaign it could have done. But despite that, still 1 million people, still 50% more than last time round, turned out and voted for us. And from what I can see, from local council by-election results week after week, the level of support for our party is growing. And it's not just people on the right, there are people on the left too that will come out and vote UKIP, because they say this question of whether we govern ourselves matters much more than any other single political issue that we face in our country. So I've put my hat back in the ring to be leader of UKIP again. I did enjoy Lord Pearson of Rannoch's resignation statement when he said he was simply no damn good at it and he was going to retire back to his estate in Scotland. I mean, honesty like that is really rather good. My hat is back in the ring, and I am hopeful, I'm optimistic that next Friday I will get the chance to lead UKIP again, and I will campaign for us to have a referendum. I will campaign for us to be a free country. I will campaign for us to have aircraft on our 2 carriers. I will campaign for us to have longer and tougher criminal sentences for repeat offenders. And I will campaign for us to have less government. You know, if you want to smoke a cigarette in your local pub, and I do, if you want to go and hunt foxes, that's your business. That's for you and your conscience to determine. It shouldn't be for government to make those decisions. So they're the things that I'm fighting for. And I remind myself that the last time there was an attempt to force different countries in Europe with different cultures, religions, races, tribes and languages, the last time there was an attempt to force them all together without ever asking them whether they wanted to do it or not, and it was done in the name of peace. That project was started in 1920, and that country was called Yugoslavia. because the great brains post-Versailles decided that the First World War had been caused by all these little warring states in the Balkans. So if you gave them one flag, and if you gave them one anthem, and if you gave them one foreign policy, and one agricultural policy, and one army, if you did all of that and called them Yugoslavia, there'd be no more war in the Balkans. Well, in your lifetimes, we've seen things like the Srebrenica massacre. In your lifetime, we've seen the ugliest civil wars that Europe has seen for 65 years as those individual groups of people fight to get back their own identities and their rights to self-government. You may say that it's an unpleasant, uncomfortable example, but it's a truism that people will not have imposed upon them another identity to the one that they in their hearts feel themselves to be. And I believe the people of this country want to stay British, and the people of Germany actually want to have their modern-day democracy, and the people of France most definitely want to stay French and do things their way. So that's my crusade, that's my campaign, that's what I've dedicated over a decade of my life towards, and I'd be very happy to take any questions or criticisms or insults you wish to hear. Thank you.
To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.